We're back at the shop. Get the trailer unloaded. A lot of stuff coming out. So y'all see what this looks like in here. Packed full. So this is the 4400 car. 4400 car, 42-inch tires. Some people asked about that. 20-inch rims, race lines. This thing's obviously pretty dang tough. Warren got their brand new race winch on the front of it. I seen some comments on there. Yeah, I try not to use it, but when I do need it, it's been there and it works really well. So it did great. Super proud of Warren. Every time I've hooked that thing to something, it drug the car out of where I needed it to. Did a great job. I've always been a fan of them, so I'm glad that they are still making great product. All right, on to the race. 4400 race. We qualified on the pole, took off first. One of the things a lot of people noticed that watched it is we had a oil pressure issue with the car on the engine. We're not 100% sure what was going on yet exactly. There's a few different things that we have kind of in mind, I guess I'm going to say. We think that the way they're low, I can't remember the correct terminology, I apologize, but with the rings on the car, it has gas ports on top of the piston to help push the rings against the cylinder sleeves. And I think they're called like low pressure rings or low something rings. And there's a theory that we're doing a bunch of idling before the race, they don't really have pressure and it's not really pushing the ring out. It could be consuming oil while we're idling a lot. And at the beginning of the race, we pretty much idled the car for almost an hour. And so there's some that the car might have burnt oil there, and therefore we started with low oil. That's one theory. I don't know exactly. The other one is the car had great oil pressure, and I did a long pull on the lake bed, probably 7 miles of close to over 100 mile an hour in the car. And when we're running that kind of mile an hour, the car's high strung on RPM, and we think it could be pushing all the oil to the top of the valve covers, and it couldn't drain back down the motor fast enough. And if that's the case, that would make a lot of sense too, that the car eventually ran low on oil, or cavitated or aerated the oil, something like that. We're not 100% sure. It's all speculation at this point in time. So I stopped early on. I thought maybe I threw the dry sump belt off the car, went and climbed on top of the car, looked in there, thought I could see it, but it's pretty dark down underneath the engine and everything's extremely hot. So I thought, well, maybe I went and started it back up, still no oil pressure at all. So I shut it back off immediately, pulled the side panel off the side of the motor, verified that I did see correctly the dry sump belt was on the car. I thought maybe the shaft or something was broke on the Daly's dry sump, so went and cranked the car up again. It's all spinning, all appears to be working, and then at the second time or third time I cranked it up there, I noticed the oil pressure started coming back up in it. It come up to only about 10 psi, which isn't really what we want, but it had something, so I knew the pump was functioning. So I put the covers back on the side of the motor, took off, and I just ran like about 70 mile an hour is all the faster I'd run, maybe 80 tops, just getting the car back to pit. We put oil in the car. As soon as we filled the car full of oil, it tended to jump back up on oil pressure. I thought, okay, everything's great. I told Remote Pit to have oil ready just in case, because I figured I was going to come out of Maine and run the car hard again in the RPM and just kind of see what it did, just trying to figure out what I needed to do to make the car live. If it meant I needed to keep it under 5,000 RPM, that's what I was going to do the rest of the race. So I was just trying to verify like what was exactly causing our issue. We ran all the trails, got into remote pit. They added more oil to it, finished all of lap 2 out. Had some pretty awesome climbs in there. I think we were able to make a lot of ground up on people in the rocks just by not winching. We come down sledge. People are getting hung in sledge a lot. We were able to clear sledge clean. We were able to clear all of Jack North, all of that trail clean, no winch. climbed this really rowdy line on the right side, and it was pretty neat because a lot of guys were avoiding it, and I wasn't even for sure. I didn't even pre-run that line. I just got in there and knew there was guys stacked up on the left side, and that right side seemed like there might have been an opening if I could get it to go. Did have to play with it a little bit. It wasn't just a one-shot, perfectly clean run up it, but was able to get it maneuvered around and figured where the line was. Got up it, was able to cut back to the left and finish it out. Was able to pass quite a few cars right there and keep moving. Ran the rest of the lap too with no issues. I think I got behind Casey Curry and checked me out. I had to wait for him to winch to check me out. The top of it, was able to climb it with no winch. Come all the way back. I can't remember if I think I got oil one more time. I honestly don't recall where or which pit it was, but I do think we took oil one more time just to be safe. Started lap 3. Pretty confident in where we were in the car and stuff. And I honestly didn't really know what position I was running in. I didn't really ask. I wasn't too worried about it. I actually thought like Jason Shear or somebody was way out front with no problems. I was later in the race. I was surprised to figure out where I was position wise. I just wanted to keep moving forward, and so we got into lap 3. Was going good. Everything was working good. We realized we had limit straps were broke on the back of the car at main pit, so we came into pit 2. And I misworded some stuff in main pit. They were going to try to change them there, but I knew it would take them too long to go get them out of the trailer, get back to pit. So my thought in my head was, I'll tell them not to worry about it, and I'll change them in remote pit 2. And because I knew how to run a couple extra rock trails to get to remote, so I thought I had plenty of time to run them out there. I guess I didn't verbalize that very well, probably at all. I think I just said don't worry about it, and I didn't verbalize take them to remote pit. So we get to remote pit 2, and one of the mountain passes I called it out to the guys. I knew I kind of figured I didn't verbalize it correctly, and so I called it out over the radio at the top, I think, of Spooner's or Outer Limits, somewhere in there. I was reaching out and I got radio communication with remote pit 2. Said I need these limit straps. There's no way the car's going to finish the race if we don't put limit straps back on the back of it. So by the time I got there, I beat them. I was waiting. I was getting super frustrated because guys were passing me. I think Tad Dalker overtook me there. I was right behind Casey Curry and Lauren coming out of the top of Outer Limits. And I'm just giving all this track position away, getting super frustrated inside the car. A little aggravated myself. I shouldn't. I kind of jumped on my pit crews pretty hard, and I shouldn't have done that. I need to try to not do that next time. But anyways, the Gomez's ended up being at the end of pit row. They had some limit straps. They put on the car for me. They loaned them to me, or they're still on there, so I guess I stole them technically. So super awesome. Those guys and my pit crew guys did not take it personally that I kind of jumped onto them. I'm glad they all are racers and they kind of understand sometimes the frustrations that go on inside the race car. Started into lap 3, got into King's Veto, had a winch there once. Casey broke something in his car, some kind of drivetrain part. Tried to winch him out of the top of King's Veto. His car was pretty locked up. Was able to get around the right side of him and winch up and out and take off. Ran all the way, got down into Dead Blow. I think it's Dead Blow, yeah, down King's Graveyard into Dead Blow. Made the right. Lauren was already winching there. Tad was in there winching in the bottom, which I was kind of surprised where he was winching at. I didn't really expect that to be a winch spot. I started trying to overtake him on the right side, and about the time I got up around him, he made it out of his spot and got back in front of me, and I didn't think it was right for me to cut in front of him. So I let him go up there, and then he had a winch a lot more than I expected him to. So I started pushing him up some of the trails. I was a little disappointed in him as a racer not to let me go by, especially after I helped him up one or two of the waterfalls to continue to block the trail. I was kind of aggravated in the car, but it's racing. It is what it is. I get he's trying to protect his position. I don't really think that's the right way to do that. I think he should probably learn just to be faster. But it is what it is. I like Tad. He's a good dude. So I don't know. I'll sort that out later. Get out of the top of Dead Blow. Good. I ran a couple extra waterfalls, I guess. I'm assuming that there's a right side that were able to side hill over there, and and I didn't realize that was a legal line, so I'm going through some waterfalls. Lauren gets back by me. Follow him through a lot of down, I don't know, we went next to Sledge and up through some stuff over there. Through a couple trails, got a back flat tire, changed that. Got into Chocolate Thunder, and he's up there winching with the back flat tire, and he kind of stopped and started changing it right there. And I don't know if he knew or not, but he left me enough room that I was going to winch around him. So that's what we did. Winched to the right side, kind of went around him and got through there. I believe there was talk that I missed a VCP there, but I hit it. I seen the little tracker box tell me I got the VCP, so I don't know what that was all about. Keep on going through the race. We get through a bunch of more rock trails, winched another spot or two. Did a huge drop, which was pretty gnarly in the dark. Awesome drop. I'm excited to see that on camera. I hope it translates as good as I thought it did inside the car, because it was one to get your adrenaline going. It was pretty cool. I was excited for that to be in the race. Moving on forward, we finally dropped the last third lap rock trail back into the wall hammer, and as I dropped it, I had the steering turned full lock, trying not to belly the car real hard on the ledge I was dropping, trying to set like one tire down, and when I did, the car kind of fell down, and there was a rock there I couldn't see in the dark, and it smacked the rim, and I already had the wheels turned full lock, and it just loaded everything into the steering cylinder and blew the end cap right out of the steering cylinder. And at that point, I knew I was in not real good shape. I mean, obviously, looking back now, I think of 100 things that I should have did different. You know, one, maybe drop the ledge different, but not only that, like maybe hooked a winch rope to a tire, tried to winch and keep it going. But you know, at the time, you're pretty fatigued and mentally fatigued that you're not necessarily always thinking the best ideas. But anyways, we finally got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm going to drive it as far as I can, at least to the top of this trail, and then I'm going to cut across the remote, and my day is going to end when I leave the race course. So to clarify a bunch of stuff up, I think on the live feed it was said that I was DQ'd and I was all this. That stuff, I think what they were implying from the rules and from racing this series while is once I left race course and took outside assistance, that's where my race ended, when I left race course. It's no different than anybody else on the track that broke whatever, snapped the front axle, broke whatever they broke, and leaves race course and goes back to their pit. They're not disqualified. Their race just ends where they stopped at. That's the farthest progression point they made it to. That's where their race ends. And that was the same thing for us. The only reason I was going to continue racing or continue the course was for my pit crew. My guys worked their butts off. They did a lot of stuff. Put a transmission in the car in the night before the race. I mean, these guys worked so hard. This is the best pit crew I've ever had. Like, they killed it. They did an awesome job. And they asked me to finish the race, and for how much work they put in, I thought that was the least I could do, was drive around and finish the course for them. I knew it didn't count towards points or progression or anything of the sort. I couldn't win the race. I was aware of all that. That's not what I was doing it for. I was doing it purely for my pit crew and how hard them guys worked. So just to clarify all that real quick, that's pretty much where it works. And then as far as everything else, I would have to verify, but I'm pretty sure every year I've been to Hammers, there's a time cutoff. I think it's either 9 or 10 o'clock, whatever time it is. When it hits that point, you're done. That's where your races end. 10 o'clock, it doesn't matter where you are, a mile from the finish or 100 miles, your race is over. 10 o'clock, it's done right there. So, and I believe that's how I ended up in third. I'll let the officials, they do their job. That's not for me to do. And wherever it is, it is. I truly don't care if I don't win. In my mind, I lost. So if I didn't win the race, then it's all the same to me after that point. All right, that's over with. Now on to some fun stuff. I had a bunch of questions about tires on the car. Let's sneak around to the back and we'll look at one. This one's a perfectly good tire. See, the metal actually gives it more traction and sparks, so you can see at night.
It was cool.
All right. No, seriously. So obviously you can tell this tire's worn pretty bad. I think one of the biggest reasons you've seen guys like me and Lauren consuming tires was we were a lot of times the first one on the trails. And when you're up on the trail and you're kind of the first one, you got to clean the trail off. So there's a lot of big rocks underneath of you that make a lot of traction. And when there's a ton of traction there, you got to get down to it. So you got these little sharp rocks, shell, I think is what they're calling them, shell rocks, and then you have sand, and you got to get up and spin the tires and clean some of that off to get down to good hard pack where you can get a good bite on it. So I think with us leading the race a lot, it forced us to clean a lot of the trails off and get to good solid ground and climb up it. The other thing I think we made a mistake on is we never changed tires on the car. So in other words, the back tires were the same tires we started the race with all the way up until the third lap. So we probably, coming into the third lap, like especially remote pit 2, we probably should have just changed the rear tires out on the car, put fresh ones on, especially going into that nasty of a lap and that much rock crawling and climbing. For those people that thought like, oh man, the tires are too sticky, or I've seen several comments. I don't think any of that's true. The biggest reason being is I climbed the majority of dead blow with no winch, so clearly the tires make pretty good traction. I would rather just change them going into the third lap than them guys change the compound of these tires. They work that good. It was pretty clear. I was able to push another 44 car up a trail. The tires work extremely well. So I don't think there's any reason to change the tire compound or design. I think it's one of the best tires and tire compounds there is to race Ultra 4, period. I don't think there's a much better tire than this. With all that being said, and also they work everywhere. They work East Coast, West Coast. They work everywhere, and that's unique. I've ran other tires in the past that don't quite work everywhere, so it's pretty cool that these work everywhere they do. Huge shout out to Raceline rims. This particular tire was flat on the back of the car for probably a lot of miles in rocks, and the rim held up. I don't even know how the tire is even on the rim still for how far I drove it, and the car did really well. Awesome job from everybody. Wayne at Alltech doing the shock work on the car, phenomenal. All the way to Joe UFO, great job. TubeWorks differentials. I'm running a 42-inch tire, and Jason at TubeWorks builds an awesome piece. This thing took a lot of abuse. Super happy. Jim at ATO, one of the other things I want to touch on, the transmission in the car is it's ran an entire season prior to this race. So not only has it been abused throughout every race throughout the season, every mud race I ran, water race, short course race, all these races we ran all season long has been the same transmission in this car. And then we turned around, pulled it out of the trailer and stuck it in for the biggest race of the year. And that transmission is so freaking tough. There was times it was like at 290 on the temp gauge, just screaming hot. And I'm sure it's just from abuse, just wear and tear on it. And I would just back the car off a little bit and it would pull the tranny temps back down and we'd just keep beating on it. And that thing obviously still backed out of the trailer and still drives. So awesome transmission. Huge shout out to Jim at ATO. That dude does awesome work. Ton of respect for him. I don't know what I'm gonna do if he retires. I hope he doesn't. Jim, you're not allowed to retire. Aaron in Nashville, Karma Performance, the engine, you've seen that oil pressure gauge all day, just not where it needed to be. And that motor continued to run. It still runs good right now, still sounds healthy. We're gonna pull it out though, get it back to him, check it all out. It's a lot cheaper to maybe roll a set of bearings in it now versus when the rods are through the block or something crazy. So we're gonna try to get it pulled out, get it checked out. Radial dynamics, the power steering in this car was phenomenal all day until I broke it. And where it broke at is 100% on me. Like I made a bad mistake there. So huge shout out to Radial Dynamics, Willwood brakes, everybody on this car, man. This thing, it was impressive how well I could race. The RCV axles in it, Holley Performance, all the Holley stuff in the car, everything from spark plug wires all the way down to the dash. Everything in the car from Holley worked great the whole entire time. Simpson race gear, with the belts, The quick cam locks, I was able to get in and out of the car, winch, clip back in super fast. Really happy with everything with the car. It was cool to get a good solid run at Hammers. So thank you.
So now that you got to run your cool custom steering, what's your thoughts? Did it work?
It works. Yeah, it works good. And it's even better is now I even have more ideas to make it even better. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I think we might have opened the door to a lot of speed in these cars. One of the major things that I've had issues with in the past is steering. And for how hard I beat on the steering in this car, and just all day long with a 42-inch tire, I'm super happy. I think we're on the verge of making these cars really fast and more nimble than they are. Like this car is surprisingly nimble for what it is on a 42-inch tire, and with faster steering and being able to maneuver the car better in areas, it's only going to get better. So really excited to see how far we can push this. I think the steering's just one thing that we're working on. There's a few other things we're working on too, with some chocks and chock location stuff. Really excited. I don't want to say too much on it all though until we get it done.
Yeah, quite a few people ask, are there any significant changes you think you will make before coming back next year based on how your race went?
Absolutely. Well, the biggest thing I'm going to do is I'm going to officially carry like 5 waters instead of 4. I've never ran out of water in a camel pack until this race. So, and I've raced the Mint 400 and stuff and never come close. This one truly, with the dust, I think it just dries your mouth out when you're sitting there in line. It's just a lot of things. I was honestly disappointed in my personal I guess energy or how fit I was, I guess would be the way to probably word that. I felt like I didn't do what I should have as far as my body goes, like to be in the shape that I should have been in to make that race happen. I want to be in good enough shape that I get to where I broke the steering and I feel like I can run to pit to get parts and run back and fix the car. I'm a little disappointed in myself, and I don't think I was in good enough shape to do what I needed to do as a driver. For how many guys worked their butts off to get this car ready, I don't want to ever let them down because I'm not in good enough physical shape. So I'm going to figure that out.
How about the car itself? Anything you change on the car?
Oh, I'm always changing the car. That's not even a question. I'm going to change anything that I think to make the car go faster. So if I think it'll make it faster, more reliable, easier to drive, anything to shave time off, I'm going to do it to the car. So no, that's a never-ending door, like a revolving door. I'm not going to stop trying to find ways to make the car faster. So yeah, that's going to continue.
Cool.
Hey, what's up, guys? So real quick, into King of the Hammers, I wanted to point out we have all FK rod ends in this car, and they're all still in it. None of them are blown out. Might be a little bit of wear on them, but these things took a beating. Massive 42-inch tires on here, and of course we hit every single rock in Johnson Valley at least once. Some of them we hit twice just for good measure. And this car took it and held up great. So super happy with FK and how well they work and how well they hold up. So awesome. I want to give a shout out to Rugged Radios. Doug and the whole crew at Rugged killed it all week. I can tear up anything. So they come over and got me lined out on the radios. And of course, I didn't realize I had a bad cord on one of my helmets. So I complained about their radios, and they took the time to come over and get the car in their Rugged tent and go hook it all up and show me that, no, it's not their radio. It's my cord on my helmet causing all these problems. So awesome to get that fixed and get that lined out. I want to give a shout out to Richard. Helped me get some better earmuffs inside the helmet and do some stuff. Really happy with how everything turned out. Thank you, guys.